fellas, welcome to the garage. Carrying on with the Cologne V6 engine revision. Alright, as you can see, we got the heads laid down right here. I've thoroughly cleaned them and just sprayed some WD-40 over them. You know, these are cast iron heads and they will rust if you just leave them in the open, especially if they're wet with water. So yeah, that's that. Those are really clean now. First, I thought I would just leave the valves inside the heads, but you know, again, while we're at it, it just makes sense to fresh everything up. Also, I have ground these ports here just to match the gaskets, because originally the inlet ports are kind of okay. They follow the gasket quite closely, while the exhaust ports are way too little. The gaskets are way bigger than the ports. So I did actually just gasket match this. And yeah, those are much bigger now. What I'm trying to say here is, just because of the porting itself, it just made sense, you know, to pull everything apart so I could actually clean everything. With the valves installed, there would surely remain some of that iron dust in there somewhere. So now the next thing is, I'm just gonna clean all the valves. This carbon deposits here, they're really not that dirty, but still, you know, while we're at it, just makes sense to make everything fresh. For cleaning the valves, I'm using just a wire wheel here. See, I got this kind of a setup. I'm just gonna plug that in and just remove these carbon deposits here. Nothing special. Alright, so we got the valves nice and clean, and now what we're gonna do is, again, while we have everything laid down like so, we're just gonna freshen up the seats here. The compression on this engine was just fine and just alright, you know, but it won't hurt to just clean them up a little. We're gonna do this with some grinding compound. We're gonna just put some compound around here, put the valve in its corresponding valve position and just grind it a little. Just a little, you know, there's absolutely no need to overdo it. Of course, I've marked everything, so I know exactly where each valve has to go. glavica, zdaj pa si pripravljena. Alright, so we got the heads all torqued down and sitting just nicely here. The torquing itself, it's kind of a stressful process because you never know if the bolt is gonna let loose or something, you know, or the thread inside the block. But you just have to trust in the process and your torque wrench. Anyways, so far so good. I had a mini heart attack when I tried turning the engine and I was feeling something kind of a bit grinding, you know. But luckily it turned out that only the water pump, when I was putting it on, I guess I put it on a little bit downwards than the previous time. So my trigger wheel here just slightly touched the water pump. I just undid all the bolts and just put it just a little bit upwards, just as much as the tolerance of the hose allows, and now the engine thankfully turns over freely. So that's some good news. Anyways, now I'm just gonna carry on with the assembly here. I got the first part of the intake manifold here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna check if these holes follow the gaskets closely and just slightly grind the edges if necessary, but other than that, nothing special, just straight up assembly. Alright, so if we take a look here at this bottom side of the inlet manifold and just compare it, or better yet, compare the ports to this gasket, we will see that they don't match. Somewhere there's quite a chunk of material, you know, that interferes here. So we're just gonna slightly take this edge out and make these transitions nice and smooth. That's better. Now let's just clean it all up and up on the engine with it. Alright, and we'll do the same thing on the upper side of this bottom side of the inlet manifold. See, if we put this in place, we do have some additional edge. See, here we're really just gonna take the edge off, just to make that smooth transition.